Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another Kickstarter critique where I take a look at a different Kickstarter project every single time, give my honest thoughts on how that project is being ran, and give it a grade at the end. And today I'm very excited to be checking out Die, the Role-Playing Game, a tabletop RPG based on the Die comic created by Kieran Gillen and Stephanie Hans and ... by Rowan, Rook, and Decard. So this is clearly based on some popular IP. In this case, it is a comic book, and I will say, though, but for everyone who doesn't know your comic book, I find this main image incredibly uninspiring. There's a face, there's some hands, there's a dice, that's it. Don't get me wrong, the art looks great, but what am I actually buying here? What am I purchasing? And so I'm very curious to see how this one does popularity-wise in a week, in 2 weeks, with this main image, which literally tells me nothing at all about the game. Luckily, this does redeem itself. It's a tabletop RPG based on a comic. But if I'm not a fan of that comic, I look at this and say, I just keep on scrolling. But when we go into the video, I'm thinking three things. Do I want it? Can you do it? How much is it? And as always, I'm trying to come at this from the perspective of fans of the comic, but then also just fans of role-playing games in general, because ideally, you're going to be able to have that crossover appeal and snatch up both sectors of the market. But let's go.
Give me an elevator pitch for Die, the RPG.
Goth Jumanji. You get your group together. You make up a group of real-world people. We call them persona. These are basically a social group who played an RPG together.
I actually really like what they did there. A goth version of Jumanji. I think they cut through the fat there. They realized not everybody knows about the comic, and they're like, all right, so what's this game going to be like? So I'm sure if you're a fan of the comic, you're like, yep, that sounds about right. And if you're not a fan of the comic, you get the gist. So I love how they started that.
You make them up their hopes and fears, their dreams, their failings. They sit down and play a role-playing game. They make a character. They get transported to this fantasy world. And they get transformed into the character they've just designed. This fantasy world is all about their hopes and fears and losses reflected back at them. Like, if they had an oppressive parent they never ever managed to square things with, there's this weird echo of that parent in there, so you get to have the big emotional closure scenes. All this kind of stuff happens in this fantasy world, and then you decide whether to go home or not. And the sort of twist in Die, as you've all got to agree, is a question of whether is fantasy better than reality or not for each of these characters.
Die is, much like everything we tried to produce, staggeringly...
Okay, so that basic, the ending he talked about there was really fascinating and interesting. And I love the fact that he mentioned it in the video, because that's a very interesting mechanism in the game, and I think you should always spotlight interesting, different, unique things like that.
Mundane and blisteringly strange at the same time, and we thought it was a good fit.
I'm a comic writer mainly. I write for Marvel, Iron Man, Uncanny X-Men, The Eternals, Darth Vader, literally every character you've heard of.
Stop it. Beautiful. Beautiful. On the Can You Do It? Hammering it home. Yeah, I've done stuff. You might have heard of it. Iron Man? Yeah, I wrote some for that. Like pedigree through the wazoo, and they spotlighted that. I love that.
You probably haven't.
I'm CEO. Zach, what's my job? I write role-playing games for a living. I am 1/3 of Rowan, Rook and Decard. Creative lead? Director. Yeah, right.
5 years ago, I was finishing The Wicked and the Vine and deciding what on earth I was going to do next.
I kind of like how they did that. Yeah, my specialty is role-playing games, my specialty is comics. We're mushing this together, and that's what you're getting. I really like how they're doing the personal touch on this.
What about games? Why did I love games? What is fantasy for? Why did I fall in love with fantasy? Why did I fall in love with games? Why does anyone care about this stuff? And Stephanie Hans and I set about it. But really early on, we kind of realised it can't just be a comic about games. It's got to be a game about games as well.
Kieran gave us the first manuscript of Die, which he'd been working on for years, and it was this beautiful fever dream. But now it is a much smoother experience. It is still Kieran Gillen telling you how to create your own world of Die and then destroy it in a really heartbreaking fashion. But it is smooth and crisp and quick. It's been our practice throughout all of the major books we've written is to work with a single artist and collaborate with them to define a visual style.
I love this. I love this. Typically, I'm not the biggest fan of when they focus so heavily on art and it gets its own separate section, because I feel like they're not focusing on the other aspects first. It's like when I see a game and it focuses on its minis before its gameplay, I'm like, hey, we're here for the gameplay, bro. But this is towards the end of it, and now they're focusing on the art, and now I'm just here for the ride. And I'm like, yeah, I want to see this art.
Book. And that's been wonderful with Stephanie because we're really keen to establish a different visual style for the game as opposed to the comic. And Stephanie's been great for that.
Like, that was such a cool shot.
And that's Die. We've been working on this for like 5 years now. I can't wait to share it with you and see what worlds you're going to make.
Beautiful. Short, sweet, concise, personal touch. I got a gist of what I'm getting into here. Hopefully I get some more details down here. But I thought that was a really well done video. Kudos on that. So Rowan, Rook, and Decard. So this was the dude that was from the not the Die half, but the other half. And so we see 9 created, 127 back, award-winning games designer and founder of Rowan, Rook, and Decard. We got the team here. So we got presumably 3 people here helping on customer service, which means we should have some good updates and comments. Hopefully. Let's see how many. Have I covered any of their stuff? I don't think I've covered any of their stuff before. Okay. Let's make sure that people got their stuff. That's always the most important thing. So this one, 1,500 backers, 48 comments. Wow, that is like abysmal engagement. That also means people got their stuff. It's not a flaming dumpster fire. Test prints, account name change, layout and art previews, test print. So this one is not quite out yet, but okay. So 1 not out. Shipping updates, been a long road, but we're nearly done. For those of you in America, north or south, we put a huge amount of books on a ship and it's currently chugging across the Atlantic towards, or more accurately, towards S2P distribution. So, literally on the boat, 2 of them out. Account name change, Eve delivery update. Yeah, so it looks like they have 2 things out pending. I doubt most people are going to care about that. Oh, pre-order. Heartbloods updates. We're expecting to take delivery of both the signed. So they do have 3 or 4 projects it looks like out. I'm not nearly as concerned. Just because it's 2 people collaborating here. I think when you have 2 separate people coming together in a Kickstarter project, it's just more likely to succeed because the other one will be like, no, you're going to do your other half because I'm going to look really freaking bad if you don't. So can you do it? I feel comfortable on that one. And they made me feel comfortable, partially with award-winning game designer, the personal touch. I like it. You and your friends are dragged into a treacherous fantasy world. Die is a tabletop role-playing game. The stuff with the I got it. I saw the video. Postage is not included in this campaign. So I don't mind the fact that we're going straight to shipping. I feel it feels a little off. It's like if we're on a first date and you just reach your hand in the back of my pants. I'm like, wow, that's not where I was expecting this to go. But I'm not complaining. Like it seems a bit out of order. But whatevs. Our estimate, because this is like literally, hey, first thing, shipping, bam. We'll be added a backer kit once the Kickstarter is complete. Our estimates are $5 UK, US, so £5. I'd convert the currency. That's always nice, especially considering most people here are probably from the United States. Yep, $14.96 to $3.85 for UK. We will cover, so $5, $6-7. That seems reasonable. We're Ho and Rock, and we're working together with Karen Gillian and Stephanie Hoyle to do this. Wow. Okay. A lot of text here, some pictures. Die begins on Earth as the players create flawed yet. This is a lot of text. I'm just here for the price at this point. I feel like your video is so solid. I'd like to see pictures of the book as well. And this is a slog. This does not look like your typical Kickstarter page. This kind of looks like, hey, we don't look around at what the industry standard is, just a smidge bit. Like the shipping right at the beginning, and then just text upon text upon text with pictures that we've already presumably seen all of these, I think, for the most part. This is nice. This is what I do like to see, some shots of the book. I just here for the price at this point, because I'm assuming it's got a reasonable price. You can learn more by downloading the rough and ready beta version of the game. Wow! I would honestly lead with this. 100% lead with this. Just right at the top. Boom! Don't take our word for it. Download the rough and ready beta version of the game right now. It just makes sense to me. Because if people want to get down to business, if you have that group of people who want to get down to business, they can get down to business right now. But for everybody else, they're like, oh, that looks good. Like, okay, I can try this right now if I want to. I'm not actually going to try it, because who the hell does that? But I could. That's great. So these are quotes from people. And just standard font, not really highlighted that much aside from text. Die managed to be a comic, a game, a pun, a commentary, a metaphor, and one of the most entertaining, provocative experiences I've had at the tabletop. That's interesting. I'd love to see a link to this person's YouTube channel. That'd be nice. Be nice for them. Or if they said this in a video, same dealio. Die changes you to create complicated, messy characters, tell stories ranging from delightfully weird to wonderfully disturbing, and find connection amidst the horror and chaos of lost hopes and dreams. It's the type of game that will stick with you for a long time. This sounds fantastic. This does. And these are great quotes. I gotta say, I feel like these are really solid quotes for a role-playing game. The game integrates several layers of world building into discussions that make co-creating a world, a group, a fantasy, a heartbreak feel surprisingly natural. Character creation and backstory are intertwined with world building beautifully, and it leads to the possibility of everyone caring about everything and being willing to die for it. Powerful, overwrought stories that fill your heart and wreck your sleep. Jesus Christ, Ava gets an A. That's a fantastic quote. I want this game in my life. Everything is a bit too much, and that's exactly how I want it. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. That's a great quote. Nobody thinks about the comics and games that like these. I feel like should definitely be, scattered about, because I feel like you definitely get more bang for your buck with quotes if they're scattered. Not if they're just same with videos. Like when you just dump 12 quotes here. Am I really reading through all these quotes? Do you read through all those quotes? Whereas if they're just kind of sprinkled in, okay. Nobody thinks about the comics and games as an exchange of storytelling. They share like Carry On. The Die RPG feels like an inevitable intersection of those two great passions, and the end result isn't only a game rife with everything fans of his writing, joy, but I'm done. This is too long. I don't know a lot about RPGs, but I played the Die RPG, and I'm pretty sure I won. So I now like RPGs. Take care. I'm gonna guess that this is someone whose name means something to a lot of people, because otherwise that's a pretty. I guess it did. But I played the RPG, and I'm pretty sure I won. So now I like RPGs. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan of that quote. Testimonials for the Die comic. Deliciously dark phantom toll booth-like journey through. And now we're just getting... Oh, wait. Why is this one the only one that gets... What the hell? Unless all of these, none of these were on video or paper, it seems odd that only one person would get theirs clickable. Seriously, pre-order your copy. It's so good. So now we have stretch goals. And yeah, this once again really just, I hate to use the word, but reeks of not looking around at industry standard right here. This stretch goal section is just, it's just here. It's not exciting. I mean, it's exciting. I'm excited to go through it. But like, where's the images? At least they have clickable links. More art from Stephanie Hans. How much more art? Is this a page? Is this 2 pages? Are these going to be interspliced? Like what? Like, yeah. Adrian Chakowski lends his talents to the bestiary section, detailing 5 classic monsters and providing inventive twists. That's fantastic. So they're essentially hiring somebody from the outside who's well-beloved to do a specific thing, and I think that's fantastic. Grant Howitt. Wasn't she on the Dice Tower? I think she was on the Dice Tower maybe once. Thinking about the same person? I don't know. Could be wrong. Anywho, Carrie Gillage wrote a new setup scenario based around a terrible high school GM, so this is just adding more to the book. Provides an illustration, yet more art. So these could be really awesome stretch goals that just really catch your eye. But instead they're just kind of, they're here. But they are micro stretch goals. I do love micro stretch goals. They're going to, every 25,000 you have to check every few days, especially if this continues its rise in popularity. Which, once again, I'm curious to see how this one does, just because that main image, and like, if you're not a fan, like, I think because I'm not a fan, I don't know the comic, but after going through the video, I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting. It sounds like a really fascinating gaming experience. But do I get there? Do most people get there after they just say, oh, I don't know this comic. This main image tells me absolutely nothing. Continuing on. So I'm curious to see how it does after it gets that initial spike of Die fans. Because I don't think it's good. Because it's just, you go look at some of those popular Kickstarters, over the last months, over the last years, last month specifically, they don't typically look like this. They just have more polish. Granted, this thing is clearly blown up already. Over $200,000, I think it was, right? Yeah, that's spectacular. Gareth, Ryder, Honrim, all creatives on the team get a pay raise. Great. Abs thing. Draw something simultaneously horrible. Yeah, so like typically, this should be a section that I'm excited to check out, just to see all the cool stuff that's unlocked. And instead it just becomes a chore where I have to read more. Same with the quotes. Images. The pictures are worth 1,000 words. The book itself. Die is a 300-page Quattro book, U.S. leather hardcover book. It's being produced by Great. I'd love to know the price. 300-page book. That's fantastic. You know how you could also let me know this? 300 pages. The price as well. Where's the pledge area? I'm still looking for the pledge area. That looks cool. Is that the Kickstarter exclusive cover? Deluxe limited edition, because everybody has this. This is just the industry standard now. It's bound in book cloth, foil printed, has embossed. You know what would be great here? A price. You're telling me about pledges, but I need the price. The dice, the things, and I know I can go over here, but as I always say, because people always say it to me in mobile, in the chat, if you're on mobile, if you're on iOS, you don't see those. This is your story. This is where all the information is. This is a weird 3D rendering of dice. That is one of the most unimpressive renderings of 3D dice I think I've ever seen. And I don't hate it, but it's just, they made do. Die are a core element of die, acting as objects of power that bestow miraculous abilities upon the welder in the RPG, so it's fancy dice. Okay, cool. Got it. More dice. Our Grandmaster Ultimate Pledge. So you are actually talking about pledges in here, but it's just kind of interspliced in here. Our Grandmaster Ultimate Pledge comes with something very special indeed. You'll receive a set of 6 custom dice, 1 for each character class. 6 custom dice. So these are the 6 custom dice. No, that's 7 dice. Well, that one's probably not the custom die. Okay. Holograph, they shimmer, they jet black. You still get a fancy D6 that you can taunt them if you'd like. You get a dice display box, which matches the cover of the fancy core thing. This is nice. I think this would really wow. Like, just as a pledge it, like, this is the big thing. You get this fancy dice box. It's got magnetic clasp on it. It looks great. Level Up Dice are committed to fair employment practice and pay all their employees around the world an Australian wage. Oh. Cool. I mean, it's good to know. Who are we? One of the most acclaimed and successful writers in American comic industry. Commercial, illustrator, role-playing game designer from Southern California. Okay. Cool stuff. This is all good. You know what I'd love even more? The price. And the shipping. Oh, no, you did the shipping. You did the shipping way up front. I totally forgot. When you just grabbed in the back. Fulfillment plan. We're using a backer kit as a post-campaign management platform to process your details, providing a pre-order store and management post-cost. You'll be able to include add-ons in your order. We're working with Lithuania, the Latvian partner, who worked with us on our Heart and Sin Kickstarters. Once the books are printed, we'll distribute. So this is great. This makes me feel even more comfortable with the Can You Do It, which once again was not something I was particularly worried about. Risks and challenges. So no price. So this is that's a full point grade drop. Like, if you're gonna try and sell me some fancy $100 and something pledge level where I'm getting, the bells and whistles and the dice and everything, I think you need to do a way better job of it. As someone who's not a fan of the comic. Now, as someone who's a fan of the comic, it's a whole different story. They're pre-inclined to like it. But as someone who's not, I don't feel like this is it. And that's unfortunate, because that stretch goal area has some really awesome stuff in it. Some really awesome ideas that I'd love to see more role-playing games take and use. So, let's check out the FAQ. Updates, comments, give this one a grade. Oh no! What am I talking about? I don't even know the damn price yet, because you didn't tell me in your entire story. Forgot. So, $20 gets me the PDF. Okay. Luckily, Kickstarter converts the currency. So, $40 gets me the 300-page book, $49 in the United States. Okay. Reasonable. It's a big book, a lot of writing, a lot of work. I get it. $80, the book, the resin dice set, and the GM screen. So this is the ultimate pledge level. 615 backers. Then we have the Die RPG Deluxe Edition. Oh, so this is the ultimate pledge level if you're getting the regular book. And this is the ultimate book. 144 people want the book. 454 people want the book and the dice. And then the Grandmaster Ultimate Pledge. What's different about this? You get art cards, right? Art cards? Is that what it is? Yeah, it looks like art cards. Okay. A gorgeous special edition variant of the Die RPG with a cover by Legendary along with GM screen illustrated. So you're getting fancy art. And then 200 backers. Awesome. Fantastic. And those are the people who love that artist. They love this game, and this was a no-brainer. Okay. FAQ updates, comments. How much is postage? They talked about it right from the jump. That makes me think that they probably didn't have it at the beginning. I hope I'm wrong. Oh no, Friday, May 13th. That's today. So they did not... Wait, yeah, so they didn't have that up. Or maybe this launched today. When did this launch? I thought this launched on Tuesday. No, this launched yesterday. Okay. So they did not have shipping up. F Tinder. Visit. Oh wow. Okay. Don't click on that link. How do I ban them? Let me get in here real quick. We're just get out of here. How do I get? What? God dang it! Give me a second. I have to deal with. How do I get? Let's see. Remove. Wait. How do I report them? Yeah. What am I doing here? No, I don't want to. How do I just mute them? This should be easier. You're going to timeout. I apologize for that. I say, Bert, I'm sorry. There we go. I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm going to make a couple. Sean, would you mind if I made you a moderator? I'm gonna reach out to some regulars and see if you'd be willing to take care of things like that happen. Because yeah, so apologize for that. How do the rules work? We've added a description of the mechanics in the Kickstarter story. So this was also not up until yesterday. So these. I'm glad that they put these up. But once again, this is like your 9th role-playing game. It seems odd to me that you wouldn't know you need this stuff up on day 1. Like, you didn't know you needed the shipping? You didn't know you needed, like... that makes me a little bit more concerned. What does the deluxe edition consist of? You shouldn't have to tell me what the deluxe edition consists of, because it should be laid out super clearly in the pledge level, which you would know if you looked at a variety of other popular Kickstarter projects right now, specifically in tabletop games and in board games. It's just, that's like, hey, what's your fancy edition? That's just so weird to me. All right, updates. 1 comment. We have 2,435 people. Oh, this was just posted. This was a hell of a day 1, folks. Thanks for all your support. No, was this posted last night? Stretch goals. We've smashed through those. Oh, yes, they've raised. So this has been up for a while. They've raised well over this. They're blowing past stuff. Coming in late, and I'm here. Hey, what's up, Donald? Limited edition, 2 limited. We are honestly surprised to see all 200 sets of the Grandmaster Pledge level sell out on day 1. We're looking to securing some more materials to bake up the... Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. We've received some feedback that we don't go into detail on how the game actually works. Yeah, like, this is like... So, I complimented them on the rough and ready beta version. So this is so weird. This bumped to the top. The shipping, I feel like it can go lower. It's just the organization of the Kickstarter page is just... which sucks, because there's a lot of excitement going on here as well. But the bottom line is, when you have one person responding to it, and you are talking into a group of 2,400 people and counting, I would ask a question. Like, this is a very robust update, and still, nobody's responding to it except for the hearts. Literally, nothing makes me happier than when a project's first update is basically, oh, wow, we met our stretch goals immediately, so I guess we'll think of something else. This book looks incredible, and I hope you sell 1 million copies. Let's go. So you get the initial people exciting. But here's an easy suggestion. You are blowing through stretch goals. Your next update is, what kind of stretch goals would you love to see? Or better yet, what other tabletop role-playing Kickstarters have you seen stretch goals for you thought were cool ideas that we could potentially implement into this? But I just think overall, just this whole project, it needs a lot of polish. Like, cause yeah, you're gonna snatch your initial fans of the artist and of the thing, but everybody else, I don't know. My favorite comic makes me biggest hobby. All right, I'm in. I'm very cool. Would it be possible to release a copy of Die Book 1 in the Pledge Manager? So these are just fans of the book. Have read the comic, but love the concept. Very excited about the possibility of running games with the system. Not gonna lie here. I'm just here because of R. No clue about the comic yet. All right. So that also gets me excited as well. Hopefully that means if they're getting these kind of big numbers on day 1, despite the fact that this I don't think is the nicest looking Kickstarter page. Like, this is just it's. But do I want it? Yes, I had to get to the video. I think the main image is terrible. I think it tells me absolutely nothing. And if I don't know anything about the comics, I don't think I'm going to click on it. And I think once this is going to go down in popularity because of that. And that's just typically how things are. If you're based on an intellectual property, the fans of that are going to be there, bam, early. And then after that, it's slim pickings. So I'm curious to see what the legs are on this project. But do I want it? Yeah, I feel like the video did a great job of spotlighting just how interesting the premise of this game does. And some of the quotes also did a fantastic job of that as well. So I want to give kudos to the quotes that they picked out, because those are quotes that they specifically put there, so I think they did a great job. I don't like the placement of them. Can you do it? Yes, they do have, it was like 2, 3, 4 projects potentially out still, so something you always want to be concerned about. But honestly, when they're hitting 228,000, when they have this comic, which appears to be much beloved, you can feel pretty comfortable with can you do it. Then how much is it? Full point grade drop right there, by the way, for just not, for dicking me around and making me go over here to the Pledge Manager to find out the price. You know, when you have to go in the FAQ and explain to me, you know, why I want this pledge level and what this pledge level is, that's just, yeah. Also, the shipping right at the front, I mean, I'm not against that. It's just, it seemed weird. So, final grade for this one. And as always, I like to mention one thing. I am not grading this game. I have not played this game. That would be foolish of me to do. I am grading the Kickstarter project and the Kickstarter presentation of this game. And there's a lot of good here, but it's interweaved with just a lot of bad, and a lot of bad that, like, I feel like you would have very easily known. Well, bad, just not industry standard. Like, it's just a slog to get through the Kickstarter page. It's a slog, because I'm looking for the price, and so I'm browsing, and the stretch goal area is not very exciting. I wish I had friends to play role-playing games with. Not for me, I'm afraid, but I'm kind of interested in checking the comic out. Yeah, and that's the other thing. I don't feel like they mentioned nearly enough about the comic as well. Or maybe they did, but it was just in this big slog. And it was not a fun Kickstarter page for me. So I think at the end of the day, if you're a hardcore fan, did they get them? Yes, based on that video. And that video, honestly, the video is like having a superstar on your team in a sport. You know, in basketball. Yeah, you're going to get to the playoffs most of the time. But are you gonna crush it? Are you gonna hit that $1 million like the like a lot of the other RPG ones out there? I don't think so, and I think it has everything it potentially needs. It's just the organization of it is just, it's so lackluster, and it feels like a Kickstarter from about 6 years ago, which is unfortunate. So at the end of the day, I think I'm gonna give this one a C. I think a C. Like, it has everything it needs. I really do believe. It's got the ship. Do I want it? Can you do it? How much is it? All those here in spades. But you really have to sift. You really have to grind to get through everything. And I don't think most people are going to do that. So at the end of the day, I'm going to split this one right in the middle. Because honestly, I think they did a great job on a lot of things. But I also just think a lot of things, just some more polish would have been great here. But let me know in the comments below, what's your final grade for Die, the role-playing game? And as always, if you enjoyed this content, please be sure to click on that subscribe button. I was trying to hit 10,000 subscribers to celebrate my 10-year anniversary of making YouTube content. Bye-bye.